Last time, we ended off with the Saiyans taking down the rest of the Cold family, thus solidifying their control over the Empire. However, a future version of Shaoji arrived shortly after, and warned them of someone wishing away their immortality, the arrival of the androids in 3 years, and Kakarot's heart virus. Also, Vegeta sent out a galaxy-wide broadcast for any remaining Saiyans, to see if there were any still out there, that brings us up to where we are now, with the heroes getting ready to train for the arrival of the androids. I was thinking over if any Saiyans would arrive or not, but I decided not to have any show up. I chose not to have Tarble come because I don't believe he'd really want any part of it. Even if he did, it wouldn't be much use to them power-wise. As for Broly and Paragus, they were initially an option, but with their ship being destroyed they had no way to even get the broadcast. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to get off of Valentine to go there. Lastly, I could have introduced surviving Saiyan OCs, but I didn't really want to, as I didn't want to add more OCs than need be. Regardless, the 3 years passed and the Saiyans should have been able to master Super Saiyan in that time. I know that's earlier than usual, but they are stronger than their canon counterparts, and they all had Super Saiyan to start with, unlike only Goku having it at this time. When they were in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, it took them a year to master Super Saiyan. They have 3 years to master it though. Theoretically, that should be enough time for them to do so. After 3 years are over, all the heroes fly to and land on the mountains of Amenbo Island, as they wait for the androids to show up. Since there isn't a ship for them to shoot down, like they did with the Yajirobis, after nothing happens for a bit they start to get impatient. So, they decide to go down to the town and search for the androids themselves. Since nothing has happened yet, everything seems normal as people wouldn't be curious about something like the sky car exploding. Though, Android 19 would still eventually approach a random person to attack him and his friend. While Android 20 is in the middle of the road, he still destroys a car and kills the driver inside that shouted at him. However, there are 2 other androids present with Android 19 and Android 20. One we know is Android 21, but the other would be a shock to Kakarot when he sees them. This android is Bulma, now going as Android 22. I mentioned many parts ago that Bulma may come back, and this is when she does. After Goku took over the Earth, she went to devise a plan to try and take him down. She heard about Dr. Gero from her father, and figured since Goku destroyed the Red Ribbon Army, he might also have a grudge against Goku if he is still alive. So, she went searching for the Doctor, and when she eventually found him, she asked to work alongside him, as she also had a grudge against Goku. Over the years, she helped him improve his androids, so they are even stronger than the ones we have seen in canon. She even helped him finish making Android 21, though obviously she wouldn't have her modified like she does in the game Dragon Ball FighterZ. As for herself, when Dr. Gero turned himself into Android 20, she also agreed to this and was turned into Android 22, that brings us up to where we are now, with the 4 androids attacking Amenbo Island together. After attacking some people, they eventually detect the energies of the heroes searching the city and fly out to see who it was. The one they find first is the only full human on the side of the heroes, which is Yurine. They eventually land behind her and Dr. Gero starts to drain her energy like he did to Yamcha, after he stabs her through the chest like he did to Yamcha in the manga, which is when the rest of the heroes sense her ki falling. So, they all take off towards her and arrive just as he drops her. With her having immortality now, after they let her go, her wound would start to heal itself. However, Kakarot still has Shaoji get her out of the way of the fight that is about to happen. However, unlike in the manga, they don't suggest moving somewhere else as they don't care if any people die in the attack. Also, when Yurine eventually gets back up, she warns them about the androids' ability to absorb energy through their hands. Regardless, Kakarot would also ask about how and why Bulma joined them, to which he would explain what I said above. Also, if he does ask how they know about him and his friends and family, they would explain that they had been watching all of them. However, they still wouldn't know about Super Saiyan, since Gero didn't collect data on the fights after the Saiyan saga. He just collected DNA from new people, like King Cold and Cooler. He just didn't have his robots stick around to watch the fight. Kakarot at this point would still be starting to get winded, regardless of being immortal, since he never took the heart virus medicine. The thought process behind this in this timeline was that he was immortal since they hit the Dragon Balls, so they couldn't have taken his immortality away, therefore he couldn't die. While he is correct about not being able to die, that doesn't mean it won't hinder him for a bit until he heals. Once he transforms into a Super Saiyan, Gero is still cocky that Android 19 can defeat Kakarot, so the fight between the two begins. However, the fight basically goes the same, with Kakarot trying to pummel the android, though, as the fight drags on, he grows weaker and weaker as the heart virus continues to take effect. Eventually, he tries to use the Kamehameha, but Android 19 still absorbs it. He knew they could absorb energy, but what other choice did he really have in this instance? His regular attacks wouldn't have been doing much to the robotic menace anymore. When the fight starts back up, Kakarot would be the one getting pummeled by the androids this time, since he lost too much energy he can barely keep up anymore. The few hits he does get in don't really do much, but once he starts clutching his chest, the heroes realize what is going on. Android 19 doesn't let up just because of this, so he goes back to wailing on Kakarot. Eventually he falls out of his Super Saiyan form, which Android 19 then pins him to the ground by the neck after that. At this point Raditz, Shalji, and Nappa try to step in, but the other three androids get in their way, though, when they are all distracted, Vegeta flies in and kicks Android 19 away from him. Vegeta would still call Kakarot an idiot for turning to Super Saiyan while knowing he was sick, but regardless, he kicks into Urien and Shalji, which they take him back to their home, where she gives him the heart virus medicine. Android 19 was going to chase them, but Android 20 still tells him just to take care of the others first. Vegeta would still be fighting Android 19, Raditz would take on Android 20, and Nappa would take on Android 21. Thus, this leaves Android 22 just watching the fight. From the start, the three of the Saiyans turned to Super Saiyan, as they would recognize they need it. In the fight with Android 19 and Vegeta, it would basically go the exact same, without him being able to do any damage to Vegeta. When Vegeta walks up to the android lying in the crater, he still attempts to drain his energy. However, the Saiyan Prince still rips off his hands, causing the android to flee from him. When he does flee, he still flies up and uses his Big Bang attack to destroy him. Then for the fight with Android 20 and Raditz, he would be much more cautious about the energy draining the androids can do. So, he avoids getting grabbed by Dr. Gero and focuses on rushing in to hit the android. Though, he would catch on that this wouldn't really be wearing out the android, since he can't use ki and can't get grabbed by the android. He would need to find a way to destroy the hands of the android. When the android is knocked down, Raditz would walk over to him and crush his hands with his feet, thus breaking the energy absorbers. After that, he's able to destroy Android 20 by using a double sundae. Last but not least, with the fight between Android 21 and Nappa, he would be much more brutal with his attacks. He would be trying to damage the robot, with his punches leaving small dents behind. In canon, Android 21 couldn't absorb energy, but this version probably would have been designed to be able to. Even if he is grabbed by her, he would still be able to overpower her. However, when he is grabbed by her, instead of crushing her hands or tearing them off like Raditz and Vegeta did, he would tear off her arms altogether. Nappa seems to be much more brutal, so this would have been the most brutal thing that he could have done in that instance. Regardless, he then finishes her off with his Bomber DX. During the fight with the three androids, especially when Android 22 sees it going downhill for them, she flees to hide. The Saiyans or androids wouldn't have been able to do anything about this, since they were distracted with the fight. After the fights are over, they fly after her in the direction she went, which they still end up at the hills that Gero went to in the manga. Once there, she remains hidden, and since they sort of split up, she ambushes Nappa and starts to drain his energy, though he flares his ki, so the others notice and they knock her away from Nappa. Raditz steps up and says he wants to fight her, so the other two let him. In the meantime, future Shalji arrives back on the Menbo Island and sees the heads of Android 19, 20, and 21 lying in the ruins of the city. From there, he searches for the key of the heroes and flies off towards where the fight is going on. However, in the fight between Android 22 and Raditz, she would be losing this fight quite badly. Much like Piccolo, he just cuts to the chase and slices off one of her hands when he gets the chance. However, the future Shalji arrives at the current battlefield and talks about these being the wrong androids. It gives Bulma the chance to cause her distraction. She fires a powerful blast to destroy one of the nearby mountains, sending up dust and debris, which gives her the chance to slip away. As she flees, heroes will be discussing with future Shalji about what the androids from the future look like, so they don't make the same mistake. Afterwards, they all fly off in the direction that Bulma fled in. When they eventually get to the northern mountains, they split up to find her. Raditz spot her going into where the lab is, but she doesn't think much of it since the last time they took data on the Saiyans' power, he was much weaker than the others. So, she does go into the lab while Raditz flares his ki for the others to find him. Once inside, she doesn't awaken androids 17 and 18 first. She goes down to the sub-lab and awakens androids 13, 14, and 15. Afterwards is when she would awaken androids 17 and 18, along with android 16. She wouldn't have had a reason not to awaken android 16 like Dr. Gero did, so she goes ahead and does so. This is when the heroes would blast open the lab and see not 3 androids like they were expecting, but they see 7 androids in front of them. Even though she wasn't going to destroy the androids with the remote, Bulma / Android 22 still meets her end at the hands of Android 17, when she tries to order them to attack the heroes. He does the same to her that he did to Gero, stabbing her through the chest with his arm, knocking her head off, and then crushing it. Future Shalji, knowing the danger of the androids, still tries to blast them, but the androids quickly escape in the process. However, the lab is still basically destroyed from his blast. Once the androids are away from the lab, they still try to talk with Android 16, along with 13, 14, and 15, though, as usual, Android 16 doesn't answer until they ask if he was made to kill Kakarot. After talking for a bit, they still fly off and end up landing on the road. When Vegeta goes to go after them, Future Xiaoji tries to get in his way, but is knocked aside. All the Saiyans then fly after them and land on the road as well. Vegeta still challenges them to a fight, but Android 16 refuses, so Android 18 steps up to fight him. From the others, Raditz and Nappa also step up to fight, with their opponents being Android 17 for Raditz and Android 13 for Nappa. Xiaoji would have come back during this time, and Future Xiaoji would have caught up as well. Seeing no chance, they would join in on the fight too, with Android 14 fighting Future Xiaoji, and Android 15 fighting the Xiaoji from this timeline. So, this just leaves Android 16 on the sidelines as usual, which is what he wanted anyway, since Kakarot isn't at the battlefield. The fight between Android 18 and Vegeta would be the same as usual, with it starting with them going blow for blow. Though they are seemingly matched in power, Android 18 would overpower Vegeta. They would still realize the heroes are stronger than the readings they had, but they're stronger as well because of Bulma improving them. Android 18 tells Vegeta to get serious, and that she wasn't serious either. Though, once they both get serious, Vegeta would start getting pummeled by the android. The fight still ends with Vegeta getting his arm broken by Android 18, with him then falling out of Super Saiyan. I could go into detail of the fights of Raditz vs Android 17, Nappa vs Android 13, Future Xiaoji vs Android 14, and Android 15 vs Xiaoji as well, but they would all go like the fight with Vegeta and Android 18. All the androids would have been improved by Bulma, so they are stronger than their canon counterparts. I said canon in quotes there since Androids 13, 14, and 15 aren't exactly canon. Regardless, all the fights end at the same time, so the androids leave to go find Goku instead of killing the heroes. Since I think it could be interesting to fight with them again if they do come back stronger, they leave them alive. Also, the only reason they would still be calling Kakarot Goku is since Stroke wouldn't have cared to collect data on what Goku calls himself now. Android 18 would also suggest that they should ask where Goku is, but 17 says it's more fun to find Goku on their own, which, they take off to fly somewhere where there is more traffic before they start their search for Goku, leaving the injured heroes behind. However, with the heroes still having their immortality, they would start to heal from their injuries shortly after this fight ends.